She won't pull a knife, raise her voice, or threaten your life with fire and fury. No, she'll simply smile, delay, disagree softly, change her mind without warning, and watch what you do with the subtle pressure she applies. That's the first test, and if you fail, there will be no blood, only surrender. Because once a man yields his frame, his time, and his reason to win a woman's favor, he has already lost something far greater than her respect. He has lost his authority over himself. Machiavelli once wrote, "He who becomes master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it may expect to be destroyed by it." And you begin to understand why most men lose everything. They try to win women without dismantling their illusions. They try to lead without testing loyalty. They try to keep a throne without testing the court. And so, they are devoured by what they failed to inspect. Let us be honest. Women are not chaotic by nature. They are calculating, not because they are cruel, but because life demands it. A woman who cannot test a man's strength cannot survive. And so, from the very moment you speak, she is watching not just what you say, but why you say it. She studies how much you flinch when she's late, how quickly you forgive when she breaks a promise, how eagerly you accommodate her contradictions. What you call grace or understanding, she interprets as weakness. And Machiavelli warned, "A prince who is not himself shrewd cannot be well counseled." This is your failure, man. You believe your willingness to please earns love, but Machiavelli teaches that it is much safer to be feared than loved when one of the two must be lacking. Understand this. A woman may love the man she can manipulate, but she respects the one she cannot move. And between the two, it is respect that keeps her loyalty, not affection. In the court of power, everyone is watching your reaction to disobedience. She shows up late. Will you adjust your schedule or your standard? She mentions her ex. Will you grow insecure or unbothered? She dismisses your ideas. Do you remain unmoved or grovel for agreement? Every moment is a referendum on your strength, and she is not the only one voting. Now, if you think this is about playing games, you're still asleep. This is not seduction. This is sovereignty. The man who cannot test a woman is like a king who never inspects his borders. He will be invaded, exploited, and overthrown without ever knowing the first sign of war. Why? Because he mistook her smile for peace. But Machiavelli warned that appearances are the enemy of truth. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. And women, perhaps more than anyone, are masters of appearing agreeable while testing for strength. She may laugh at your jokes and call you sweet, and yet push your boundaries like a foreign power testing your defenses. She will not ask, "Can I control you?" She will try. And the moment you fold, you've taught her who you are, not the ruler, but the ruled. You were never taught to test. You were taught to trust. You were told that love is earned through kindness, presence, provision, that a good woman will see the good in you if you simply treat her well. But Machiavelli would laugh at this notion, because in every arena where power is at stake, only fools lead with goodness. A man who wishes to act entirely up to his professions of virtue soon meets with what destroys him among so much that is evil. You were not born into peace. You were born into evaluation. And a woman, even the kindest of them, does not love you for your virtue. She loves you for your gravity, for your ability to resist, to assert, to remain unmoved by her storms. If she cries, will you fold? If she disrespects, will you chase? If she disappears, will you wait like a dog by the door, or carry on like a man whose purpose was never centered around her validation? These are her tests, not spoken, but deployed like invisible tripwires across every interaction. She does not explain them, because she doesn't have to. She's watching how you respond to silence, tension, disagreement. She's watching how quickly you negotiate with your own standards just to keep her smiling. And when you do, the smile stays, but the respect evaporates. This is why so many men lose power without ever hearing the word no. She simply becomes colder, less responsive, less affectionate. You don't understand what happened. But what happened was simple. She saw your soft core, and now she can never unsee it. Machiavelli advised rulers to simulate virtue, but not to practice it fully. It is well to appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, religious, and also to be so. But you must be ready to change to the opposite if necessity commands it. If necessity commands it. That's what modern men ignore. You live in a world where softness is celebrated, but never rewarded, where men who expose their vulnerability too soon are not praised, but quietly dismissed. And so you must test, not for revenge, not for control, but for clarity. You must know, is she with you because you bend or because you don't? Is her loyalty real, or is it a performance maintained by your unbroken compliance? You won't find the answer in comfort. You'll find it only when you disrupt the script. Tell her no, and watch what shakes. Withhold attention, and see what remains. Speak truth, and listen for silence. A woman who is stable, grounded, and worthy will not flinch at your standards. She will respect them, even if they frustrate her. But a woman who lives for domination will not tolerate a man she cannot move. And this is where most men fall. Not because they lack strength, but because they lack the will to use it. You've trained yourself to please. You've been taught that resistance means rejection, but the truth is colder. Pleasing guarantees rejection, and resistance reveals character. Let me repeat that. Pleasing guarantees rejection, and resistance reveals character. The Machiavellian man does not argue. He does not explain. He observes, he withholds, he tests. Because what cannot withstand scrutiny is not worth keeping, and what collapses under pressure was never real. A woman will never tell you what she respects. She will only reveal it through what she stays for. She may say she wants a kind man, and yet disappear the moment you prioritize her feelings over your convictions. She may swear she values honesty, and yet rage when your truth conflicts with her fantasy. And this is why the test must always be silent. Not announced, not explained, executed. Because only in silence does her instinct speak. And instinct is what Machiavelli studied with more discipline than sentiment. He didn't write for men who wanted to be liked. He wrote for men who wanted to rule, and his warnings were clear. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. In your case, the same principle applies. You want to know your worth? Look at the woman beside you. Not how she looks, how she responds to resistance. If she is only soft when you're soft, if she's only close when you're convenient, if she only loves the man who bends, you are not respected. You are tolerated until something more interesting comes along.